Life is just a bowl of cherries, but sometimes it's the pips, so they say. This woman, our guest today, works and controls a big man's sweaty world, and she glides through it effortlessly. She's also had loads of documentaries made about her, and she's also the only female boxing producer in the UK or the world. I'd like to think it's the world. So please welcome our guest today, the incomparable Nina Cranston.
Hi, Eddie.
Right, Nina, I want to read something out. Is that all right?
You can do.
Right. Knife crime is at its highest recorded level at 46,000 cases. Firearms arrest averaging 6,500 a year in Wales. 15,000 knife crimes were in London alone. Over 1,000 lives have been lost to knife crime in the last 5 years. March 2019, 4,451 arrests with a knife were kids under the age of 18.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, why do you think, apart from our tribe, that people are not really taking that much notice of these statistics? Because they're huge statistics.
I honest to God think that people are, look, I think they're kind of looking their nose down at situations and going, well, if you want to act that way, then you're going to get treated that way. I do think that we have that kind of snobbery about us, you know, but at the end of the day, people have got to recognise it's still happening nonetheless. If you want to look at these kids as pests, then, or, you know, boys on road and take the mickey out, and that's fine, but you've got to remember the life they're living. They've been given opportunities. Don't get me wrong. We're nothing like America, but they have nothing. Some of these kids have nothing to aspire to. Do you understand? When you're out on the streets, you look up to the man that's got the fastest car or the nicest trainers, and what is he doing to get that? You know, and I do believe that the government isn't giving us any funding for our communities. And if there is, it's absolutely low budget. So what these kids
but can I stop you there? Yeah. I mean, the question is, why do you not think? I mean, if you look at them statistics, they are actually catastrophic. You know, they're catastrophic statistics, and I don't understand really why. Because people get the hump, and people sort of go up in arms for the most benign things on Facebook, you know. It's like, you know, don't have gravy on pie mash, and don't have all that, you know, the stupidness that happens on Facebook. But these statistics, if people actually sat down and digested them, you know, they will be what they really are, the statistics that I've just read. So I'm really interested. And is it class? Is it race? Is it, I don't know, any schism that you can sort of think about? Why people are not uniting around this plague?
Again, I just think that I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And with that like it is, we all went together with the Black Lives Matter when it was over offshores, right? Because it became this thing in America. Every actor we could think of that wanted to talk about it, we took a knee for the race. And I understand that to a degree. I understand people, you know, the injustice to a degree. I'm mixed race, but I don't think it's trendy enough for them, right? I think that, I'm not being funny, you know, like all the people that are coming on the do, they believe in it. We're from the streets. Do you understand what I mean? We understand South London. We love our community. I don't want to keep hearing about boys dying. I don't think celebrities, it's not, for me, if you're so quick to say about Black Lives Matter, what about these kids' lives matter? Why are you not talking about it? Because in my eyes, it's not trendy enough for them. It hasn't.
Do you think if it was a predominantly white thing, people would take more notice?
No.
No,
No.
people are so cold to everything because obviously these statistics are I really hate trying to sort of touch upon this race thing because I hate it. I really hate it. I mean, I find it so degrading that we sort of categorize ourselves as labels, you know, and this and that. But I'm just absolutely fascinated, and I'm sure you've answered the question about why people are not taking notice. And obviously, like yourself, you're doing something about this. You've got this event coming up, haven't you?
Yes.
On the 24th of September. Look, there's the
July.
There's the yeah, on the 25th, on the
24th
24th of July, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about the event, Nina.
So basically, I just think that when you're trying to get kids off the streets, how are you going to do it, right? And obviously, parents have got to pay for it. Some money's got to come from somewhere. Now, there's a lot of gyms out there, and people say, put the knives down, come into the gyms. That's
boxing
all great.
Gyms, you mean?
Boxing gyms. Yeah, sorry, boxing gyms. That's all. And some of them are doing very well. But some people are saying, come in, it's £15 for the class. We do it 3 times a week. Now, if you think about it, it's £45 a week. Then you've got to go boxing boots, gloves. It amalgamates up. Listen, we're coming out of a pandemic. We can't afford that, right? So I'm saying, let's all rally round. I'm a boxing promoter. It's something I love, and I've seen kids change their lives. I've got, you know, I deal with a lot of troubled youths, right? And they're doing great. So why can't we all rally around as a community? I'm just talking about my boxing side, and let's fundraise some money. And then with that money, I will get the trainers. I'll pay for the train. Well, we will pay for the trainers out of that money. We will pay for the kits out of that money. So then we're taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boys off that way of life and into the gym. And once you get in that gym, believe you me, it opens your eyes, right? And you've got to remember, when you're training, you can't really be drinking. You can't really be, you know, doing drugs. You can't do anything like that, because you start to realise that the life that you had, there's other means and ways, and you are part of a family, and your trainer becomes a mentor. Okay. Do you understand?
Yeah. So what you're doing really, you are actually sort of it's very embryonic at this stage, you know, but the embryo needs to be reached out to people to take it further, obviously the government thing. So a little while ago, you sent me a script that you'd written,
yeah,
right, about your dad and about an era of revolution, really.
Yeah, it was.
Is there anything that you can tell us about that script? Because it all ties in, because it's a biop of your father, a special man, if I may say so, and your mother, you know, what they come through. And obviously you're in the mix of all that. So can you tell us a bit about the conception of the script, really?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a music lover and loved reggae ska. And in the 1950s and 1960s, because of the Windrush, where they came over to rebuild, Jamaicans and came over to rebuild the country, they were already plotted here. And my dad was actually a puffer, right?
He's a
puffer, right?
Yeah. But he was obviously white, your dad.
My dad's white, yeah. My mum, sorry, my dad's white, and my mum's born she's born and bred in Sierra Leone, Freetown. So Sierra Leone, Freetown is where they abolished slavery. And they put all the slaves into the capital, naming it Freetown. And they didn't know their identities because they were slaves. So they named all the slaves after their slave owners. So I haven't got an African surname. Our surname is George. Right. Not very African, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah.
So let's get back to the beginning of this script, you know, because I found it fascinating, and it's absolutely huge. So what happened? Your mum comes over on a Windrush.
My mum came over. She came over to with my grandmother because my grandmother wanted to better herself and become a nurse. So she trained in the UK, but unfortunately my grandmother wasn't the bestest of mothers, so my mum got put into a foster care home. Gotcha. And the woman wasn't very nice. She was she'd feed her kids first and then feed my mum later. My mum she doesn't really talk about it that much. She just said, she doesn't bring up race. She just said she wasn't a very nice person.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite, it's true. She just wasn't a very nice person. So my dad was looking.
He was in the Merchant Navy. So let's get him leaving the Merchant Navy.
Okay, yeah. So my dad was in the Merchant Navy and he was stationed at Jamaica for a while, and hence the reason why I got into a bit of pub. And when he came back, he obviously didn't know where to go. And he asked his brother, and his brother said, look, there's a road, it's a bit notorious, it's like 1962. So the Jamaicans had already been here a while, but they've made their own culture up this road. And he said that we can go this road in Brixton, it's called Summerlayton Road. Now it's a notorious, they put 6,000 people from the Windrush into Summerlayton Road.
Gotcha.
And there's one particular day, my dad's gone up there, and this guy's come up, black guy, and give my dad a bit of puff, and that's gone, okay, taking it. And he's gone, please. So he bangs on the thing to usher my dad to go because he's in the car. My dad scooted off. And as my dad's left, you can't see no sirens, you can't see nothing behind him. So he said to his brother, look in that bag, right? Open up the bag, it was a bag of twigs.
Right.
The guy had scanned him.
Got it. Reminds me of the old front line in the 80s, that.
Yeah. But my dad got a bit brave and went back. So he's looking, and you're not going to find the guy again, but he's pacing up and down. He's a bit pissed off that he's been, robbed. And all of a sudden, if you can think about the big townhouse buildings, but if you think about 2 feet off the floor, these little red lights were appearing all up and down the road.
Right.
And just all like knee level, right? And my dad was like, you seen that? Well, all of a sudden, the black community started to come out. And they were going down into the basements, but you'd hear the bass. My dad was like, what's that? And this guy's walked out and he said, oh, have you just been robbed by the children of the streets? And he said, yeah. He said, you want to get a bit of puff? Come with me. So my dad's a bit dubious about walking into this basement. He said, Nina, it was a door like that, and it had a slat on it. And it slat open. It was a big metal door. And big guys knocked on the door and opened the slat. They've undone it, walked in. This black guy's called Wiley. And this is Wiley's bar. We've gone down the stairs, and it was absolutely pumping with ska music. This music, it was like something lit in my dad and was like, this is the absolute nuts. Like, what is this? So they're sitting around, passing a puff and listening to the music. And no one cared no mind for the colour of my dad's skin or his brother. They were just there celebrating and having a dance in ska and reggae, which is also called blue beat. So my dad obviously then became hooked on it, started to go back, started to do this. But my dad already promoted little parties up in Penge. So they become like regulars. And his mates joined in, they all went down there. My dad said to him, Wiley, one day at his house, he said, I mean, man, this music's unbelievable. He said, why is it not promoted out to the masses? Come on, man, this music brings people together, it spreads love, it's not nothing anti in it, it's just a lovable music. And he said, I don't know if you noticed, Bill, but I'm black. My dad replied with, well, I don't know if you noticed. He said they wouldn't take us, they wouldn't let me hire a car. He said they wouldn't let me hire a car, let alone a dance. And my dad said, well, I don't know if you noticed why. He said, but I'm white. I said, I think we should do this. So my dad then plotted up one night in, I think it was somewhere up in Penge. Oh, King Alfred.
So now they want to start their own scene.
Yeah. And they started at the King Alfred. They went around flying, put the wall paste on everything, putting everything out. And they've had a really good run up. And the day that came, the opening, my dad said we had a queue down the road. You couldn't get anyone in. Absolutely spectacular. And then he met my mum. He went to the Carno and they were there and he didn't want to be there. This is the Carno in Streatham, which is just a dance hall.
Yeah.
Not reggae music, it was just mainstream, maybe soul, rock and roll. And he said he leant over the balcony and he said, I saw this woman there. She just looked like an angel. She's just so stunning. She reminded me of Sophie Loren. And if you look at my mum when she was 21, you can see that.
Yeah.
And so he'd met my mum, cocked up the first date, but luckily she hung around and he went to the wrong station.
That what you just said can be totally misconstrued,
Yeah, could be, yeah. But he went to the wrong station. My mum was meant to meet him at Croydon West, or meant to Croydon East anyway. So they started dating, and my dad noticed that my mum was quite skinny, should we say. and he wanted to introduce my mum to his mum.
Okay, so basically, I mean, the script is, and I remember you saying it's something that, you know, the younger people of this generation need to know about, really, because it's history, isn't it?
I mean, there are so many fantastic stories within London anyway, but I think that this story would make you kind of open your eyes, and instead of, it is about race, but it's not, in their eyes, it was never really about race. It was about just some nasty people just doing nasty things. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so my mum met my nan, and she freaked out. My nan, because she's thinking what the neighbour's going to say, you've got a black girl to my house, you never mentioned her colour. So my dad used to, because she wasn't being fed properly, my dad used to smuggle her out bread and dripping.
Lovely.
To the car. Bad to like, yeah. But she was never allowed in the house. But he used to smuggle it out around the corner. And she then became part of the club scene, helping out and doing bits and pieces. And my dad was opening up, like, with all his gang. I think they opened up like 5 nights.
Wow. All
over London. Yeah, and they were smashing it. They had a few, you know, there was a few racial things when they tried to go like Ephraim and out of London, you know, like Essex. There was a few teary moments in the script. But my dad just said, look, you know, he said, well, look, I think we could really crack it if we've got our own club. Instead of hiring it, you know, we'd earn some money behind the bar. So my dad opened up a nightclub called the Penthouse in South London, and Lulu opened it.
Lulu?
Yeah, Lulu. She was 16, I think. Yeah, she sings Shout. Yeah, I think she must be a bit younger. Yeah, she was a little bit younger, and I think she went to my dad, like, obviously she's been on tour and stuff. She was like, where's my dressing rooms? And my dad just dressing rooms, pointed to the toilet. She was like, what? Yeah. So yeah, then he had Solomon Burke down there. David Bowie, actually, we wasn't called David Bowie, auditioned to sing down there, and my Uncle John went, he's a bit out there, isn't he, the geezer? They turned him down.
So in amongst all this chaos,
yeah,
Nina's born.
No, well, my dad actually went to prison. That's what I'm going to get. Yeah, sorry. So what happened was, because the blacks were following the sound, it's a long story, but they followed the sound, and they were coming out from Brixton to the club, the authorities, one guy in particular, didn't want that to happen. So they planted drugs on my dad, and my dad went in prison. They wanted to shut him down.
So, I mean, whether it was the club chaos or whether it was chaos anyway, when you know, you've come into the world with a vibration of chaos around you, yeah? That's all I'm saying.
No, I never had a vibration. My lifestyle was absolutely brilliant. I mean, when I came into the world, all we listened to was ska and reggae. I did not know that we were never taught about colour, which I think is the right thing to do. I didn't know that my mum was black, and I didn't know there was a statement of black. I didn't know that there was a statement that my nan was black. I didn't understand it. That was just my nan, you know. I mean, when I got older at school, and I had a beautiful upbringing. My mum and dad came from nothing. Let me tell you that. They came from nothing, and they worked their asses off to provide. I went to private school. You know, my dad was a war baby. He couldn't read or write. And then after that, he worked on the market. He worked on the fruit and veg. So, you know, they worked their asses off to give us a real good education. And then obviously, I've come along, and when it came to the point of understanding, I was having people come up to me at school going, "Is it true your mum's black?" And I remember going home to my mum going, "What does that mean?" Like, what is that? And I've got 2 brothers. One's got blonde hair, blue eyes, and the other one looks Cuban. And someone come up to me and went, do your brothers have race fights? Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I just used to think, what's that all about? But I never used to think I never knew about racism. It still was just like, well, that's an idiot. You know, my mum would go, that's a silly thing to say. But it was never, now at the times now, they're making me see it now. You know what I mean? I understand when someone can be derogatory. I've been on both sides, whites and blacks, right? But I don't understand why there's a divide, why people are trying to create a divide. That's the thing that baffles me. When my parents have gone through so much and never been, you know, the whites, or they did this or they did that. They've never been like that. They're just nasty people. It's good and bad in everybody.
So there you are in private school, right? What made you want to become a boxing promoter, Nina? Was there a run up to this? Can you? Because it's fascinating. When did it happen?
So I had no education, and I came from a singing family, and I was a singer. And then this went on for quite a while. I sung from when I was 13 years old to when I was 24 years old. And then someone said to me, look, you know, we're going to go to a boxing show. And I was like, why do we, you know, okay, fair enough. And I was like this young kind of naive girl, didn't really know much about the world, should we say, because I, you know, had my family over me because I got an illness as well, grand mal epilepsy. So this is when I was coming out of the phase. Yeah, I'm grand mal epileptic.
Oh, really? And what's that? Is that something that's spontaneous, or is there a run up to an episode?
It's sleep deprivation. So like, imagine like a battery. If you charge a battery will work. Same as me. If you charge me up, I'll work normally. If you disturb me while I'm sleeping, I'll seizure. Gotcha. So I've got it under control now. But I had
I bet that's caused a little bit of problems for you, haven't it?
Ah, well.
You've woken up in your sleep.
No, I've woken up and I've had seizures. Yeah, I think it was more effective with my mum and my dog. I'm trying to keep going. Yeah. I think it affected my parents and my family more than it affected me to see me having seizures. I mean, I can't physically watch someone, or when a seizure comes on a TV program, I have to get up and walk away. But I think it affects them when you see someone you love go through that more than me, because I blacked out. So I had got pulled out of education as well. So that's from when I was 12 to like 16, 17. But then obviously the singing, I was doing that with my brothers, because my brothers are in a band called the Jewelers and CRANSTON. They're doing pretty well. They sing reggae music. And then
where can people hear their stuff, Nina?
I think they're in that sensation. So that last year they're at Wembley. Is it next year? Wow. But they've done really well. We're all street buskers, and they became massively, they trended and they went viral. They've got loads of stuff. It's the Jewelers, DUALERS, not jewelers as in jewel. But they're good. And then my brother Sy, he does rock and roll, swing, CRANSTON. I mean, we were raised on music, so it's like our passion. So I kind of was on my own. They had each other. I was kind of doing it by myself. And someone said to me about going to a boxing show. So I went to a boxing show, and I'd gone through a bit of a bad breakup prior, where I'd lost a lot of money. I lost 800 grand in a divorce.
Jesus.
And, yeah. I know. And they always go, the women walk away with money. And I was thinking, well, where's my share? What happened to me? My life matters.
So you got married really early then, Nina?
Yeah. I got married when I was 23 because my mum and dad moved to Spain. I think because I was their daughter, obviously had this illness, they just wanted me to settle down so they could move on with their life. Not like shun me off, but it just seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. It must be a very difficult position to be in for a man, to be wrapped around you 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, and it's obviously they get counselling with it, and people they get the phone calls and SOS. You know what I mean? So I have a bit of a handful.
No, I don't mean it like that, because I mean it more because of your energy. I mean, I
wasn't actually like this. I was very timid. I was the other way. I wouldn't say boo to a goose. There was a lot of things that happened in my life, Eddie, where it forced me to be this way. You know, I was always quite quiet. I was brought up on very old school morals. You know, I'm the girl, so my dad's like a little bit, you know, he's got very old fashioned ways. So I was very much the opposite, and life's downers that they throw things at you, like divorce, and I went through domestic violence. You kind of have to find yourself and just go, do you know what? Enough's enough now. I'm going to be me. And you go through some really dark times in your life. But you've got to remember, you've got to love yourself before anyone else can love you. And I think I'm brilliant, right? Do you know what I mean?
When did you actually sort of learn to love yourself? Have you always loved yourself, or because what fascinates me about you, I mean, in my eyes, there's a duality to you. You know, I mean, you have to deal with these, as I said in the beginning, these big, sweaty men, and I don't know whether you have to put a force field up for that, or a persona, become a persona to do that, where after all that, when you come home and you sit down by yourself, you know, and I've seen a different Nina to that. I've watched your documentaries on YouTube and all that, and like, oh my God, you know, whoa. Bang, bang, on. But is it difficult, sort of, because when you're in that situation, when you're with these boxers and when you're with these, you can't be a little girl, really, can you? Or can you?
No. You can't be Nina that sits on the couch, Bill and Jackie's daughter. You cannot be that. I give off a vibe that is very strong. I'm in control. Don't worry about a thing, right? I've got you. You just focus on you. And that is my attitude. It's very much, I can feel myself being this person, because if I show doubt, or I blink, or I show a little bit of, oh, I'm not sure, they then start feeling doubt. They have to feel complete and utter strength, like a backbone from me. And every single one of them boys gets that from me. They never hear the word, well, I don't know if I could do that. I never say that. And it makes me cringe, even the thought of saying it to the boys, because you got to remember this one thing, Eddie. It ain't me that's getting in the ring. It's them, right? And if you think about a sport, it can't, people put in the category of, well, they're punching each other. So let's be real. If you're going to get in the ring, I don't want you to be worried about anything else, but your job is to box. That's all your job is. Leave it up to me. So my attitude is very much, I am in control. I've got you. Don't you dare worry, right? Let's just focus on you and focus on this fight, and let's do the best we possibly can. Just worry about, but there are so many things to a boxing show, but that's what I have to give off.
But let's go back to what you were saying before about someone took you to a boxing show. Yeah. Nina, who's singing and doing her thing, and now all of a sudden this person takes you to a boxing show.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, they took me to a boxing show, and they were like, she's a singer. And they were like, why do you sing? I was like, what? Sing. Come on. I mean, come on, Eddie, you've been around with you. Just a little scene, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm going, sing. So I did Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody. And I remember hiding behind the tables and singing the song, captured effortlessly. And I was they're kind of like pushing me to go out, right? And I'm like, what? And they wanted me to get in the ring. So I'm like, oh, God. So I've walked out. No one was paying any notice. No one was paying. Until I got in that ring, the whole place just went quiet. And everyone was turning to look at me, because people thought it was actually just the tune playing. There was no girl singing. So a lot of people recognised me from that. And then from that, I met my ex, now ex. He reached out to me on Facebook and said that he liked my singing. And then we got together. Now, when my previous husband had taken everything from me, he had a fallout with his partner in the boxing. And I said, look, we can do this.
Sorry, is this your second marriage now?
See what I mean? No, it wasn't a marriage, babe, right? You know what I mean? See what I mean? You know what you're doing, Izzy? Yeah. Right.
No, I'm just being truthful.
No, it wasn't. It was just a relationship. Yeah, and it went very. We were together for about a couple of years, and obviously I worked on the boxing, and I learned so much, and it wasn't a very good relationship at all towards the end, and I just I couldn't take any more of it, and I said to him, look, I'm done now. You do your thing, I do my thing, but you know what? I'm going to keep doing the boxing promotion, because I was the one that was running everything, and he didn't know how to work a computer. He was like a technophone. He couldn't do anything like that. I was even matched, I was doing everything. His name was above, and I'm not dissing the guy. Carry on doing what you're doing, but because I'd lost everything from the past relationship, I thought I'm going to take something with me, right? And I got a lot of death threats. I got a lot of, for 5 months.
Why? Because you was a woman.
Yeah.
So this is so interesting. I mean, I can't imagine how you started your journey. I mean, talking to all these misogynistic sort of Frank Warrens and
well, no, actually, honestly, Eddie, I lied on the internet, because everything was done through Facebook. So I lied and had a boxing glove as the icon, and it was called Bill, and you could ring the number, but Bill was never around. So when people ring, I go, hi, Touchstone Promotions, how can I help you? It's Bill there. I'm afraid it's not, but I'm Christina, and I'm here to help you. How can I help you? That's exactly what I did.
All right.
Obviously, the boxers started to get to know. Nothing on social media was me. It was all a lie. But then when the boxers came to get the tickets, they kind of understood, but they didn't really notice that it wasn't, I was trying to cover up, because I'd been told and had it drilled in my head, you're making fucking boxing a mockery, fuck off back to the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah. Be a fucking singer. Leave us alone. No one fucking wants you. I mean, death threats. I used to get texts all the time, different random numbers. We're coming for you. Do you know what? Let me tell you something I've learned. And it took me a real dark place in depression, but I carried on. Listen, you don't tell someone you're coming for them. Do you know what I mean? You don't give them the heads up. And that was my attitude. I thought, well, nah, bollocks. Because they kept getting all this stuff through, but nothing was happening. And it was really depressing, but I kept on going and I kept on, you know, persevering. And on the day of my first boxing show, which was December 2009, my own one, I outsold Frank Warren.
Yeah.
And I just literally.
What I mean, what was the mentality of? Obviously, these were men sort of threatening you.
Yeah, all men. No,
big grown men that was threatening you. But I mean, where we come from, like you said, with your dad's principles and our principles, you just don't do that to women, do you? So what kind of men, you know, I just can't work out what kind of men they were, really. Was it because they were scared you was going to nick a pound note off them?
I think it was that. I think that deep down they knew that I'd be driven. I didn't. You know, they could have an argument if I took one of their boxers, or I didn't take anything from them. They just wanted to do their own thing. They don't want me to start up. That was it. That was it. It was, and you know, they didn't care if I know you're old school morals. They didn't care if I was a bird or not. Do you know what I mean? They didn't care. It was just like, you know, you're going to take the highlight away from us. That was all they were worried about. And it was, you know, I mean, texting me my address was quite, you know, it was quite fucking daunting. But oh yeah, yeah. Then I heard that a show had been, that one of the guys' shows had been cancelled, and I didn't gloat at all. I was like, oh my god, if they're not going to pull it off, I'm not going to pull it off. But there was 2,200 people at my first ever boxing event, and I think I said to this the other day. I said, but I think with men, women kind of hold a grudge a little bit more than men. I don't know why, but when a proper man loses in a fight, yeah, no matter what the fight, could be 50 comes, could be a battle, they shake hands and go, well done. And that's exactly what happened. When my boxing show went out there, right, the haters bought tickets to the next one. You always have to have a positive outcome. I never got involved in any negativity. I just carried on doing my job, done what I did, kept my head down. And the next one, they all bought tickets for.
Wow.
And yeah, and they come to me when I got back from America. They came to me going, what do you reckon of this show? They asked me, as my opinion, you know. So sometimes it's always good to fight fire with fire. It's always sometimes a wise way to just get your head down and focus on the main objective. If someone tells you you can't do it, you can do it.
But also your show, because I remember I went to come to one of your shows at Clapham. You done it with a band. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Me, Callum, I forget who else was there. It might have been Jeff. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
But they seemed like different shows. Do you know what I mean? There was a touch to them, whereas you used to go to them shows in York Road, you know, and then like, yeah, it was just a boxing show, you know. But your show seemed to sort of have a little feminine touch about them, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know, in that sort of arena of sweaty men, there's glitter involved and things like that, you know.
Do you know, I just think that there's little things we can do that make people think differently. Like you just said, there was something different about your show. It's like, well, if I'm paying £50 to see a show, I want to see a show. I want to see the beginning, the start of it, the big glamour, the dancing, the girls coming out with fans and stuff. I want to see an interview where someone's doing something. I want to be wowed by it. I don't want to sit there on a poxy chair in a plastic stool and just watch someone beat up another person. That's not boxing shows to me. So I just literally put my own little spin on them and make them more glamorous. Yeah. And
for 50 quid as well, you get a little glass of champagne.
Yeah, you do. Now, but yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah, you do. But
so, right now, they're making a documentary or a film based on you, are they not?
They are, yeah.
They are. Is this can this be spoken about?
Yeah, yeah. I'll put it out there.
It's called The Black Widow, right? I mean, how in God's name did you get a name? The Black Widow.
I didn't. Do you know what? I don't know where this, I don't know where this name came from. So Vice did a documentary about me called The Black Widow of Boxing. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So, Spider, like, she lures them in. And I was like, oh, okay, I get you with that. But I found out, do they eat the prey or something? Anyway, so this label stuck, and they did this documentary on Vice. And they put it out to, and then HBO bought it, sorry. And it goes out still, different countries at different times. It went out to Cyprus. And I think it got played in California. So obviously in America, it's different states. It's not the same TV. So I think it was played in California. And I was sitting I was actually working behind a bar. Listen, I don't mind graft. I don't care about it. This is another thing about the generation. I like a bit of graft. I like money. I'll go out and graft. And I was working with my mate down at this place, right? And at the blue, she went, Nina, my friend went, Nina, there's something on this site of someone in America. I went, what? I went, I'll ignore it. So I've gone on there, had a look, that guy
you told her to ignore it, but you've gone boom straight.
Well, I ignored it, but later on I thought, let me just have a look. So I just looked at it, thought, it's one of them bogus things, you know what I mean? Like, and then she's put Electric Avenue, and then he's put, and he's put Will Arnett. And I thought, hold on a minute, that's ringing a bell, Will Arnett. I've Googled the power of Google. I've Googled him, and he turns out to be like an A-list celebrity.
Right.
But he's done he's done loads of productions. He's just been signed with Sony for another 2 years. He's been in loads of things. And he's, I recognised straight away, what? Can we organise like a phone call? So I was like, yeah. They were like, look, we watched The Black Widow, and we think it's a really great story of what you've been through. And we'd like to make it into a series on cable. And you're like, are you fucking serious? They're like, yeah, we just think your energy and what you've been through is so cool. And I was like, we're going to send contracts out. And when the contracts started coming over, and then they got me a great, solicitor. He worked on loads of ITV stuff. This shit's real. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, they're just looking for a writer now, and I've spoken to quite a couple of them, and the girl that wrote Gossip Girl, so they're looking.
Was you ever tempted to go over to America? I think you went over to America for a little while. Did you go over there to relocate? Yeah,
I went over there to live, and again, like another shitty breakup happened, and I was meant to go back, but I just didn't bother going back. But ideally, I think America's got a lot more to offer. We're kind of, in England, we're very much like, we don't want to take a chance, when it comes to like TV productions and stuff like that. We're all very much, and our film industry just, being wiped out. And it's just like, America's got a lot more, they're more open-minded, and they love creative, and they love new things, and they're more creative, I believe, the Americans, compared to us. So, I mean, when I was out there, I was doing blogs, and I got signed with ESPN. They were going to class me the bitch of boxing, and I should have really taken a gig, because a guy called Jonathan Coachman found me. I just think that we're just kind of afraid of thinking outside the box, where America, they'll think outside the box, and they'll know it works. And we kind of copy, don't you think we copy them in a lot of things, like America?
In as far as what?
As in, like, production-wise, we do kind of copy them in a lot of ways, don't you think?
Well, I think so now, more than... Yeah. I mean, I think our independent films, that people like Andrew does, and a couple of people that we know that make these independent films, I think they are really, really British, Yeah. I don't think they... I mean, I think... Well, no, I don't. I don't think so, because I find the American productions just too glossy, really. I mean, if you look at the BBC, not that I wanted to mention the BBC in any way, but there was a thing on the other night called Time.
Right.
With Stephen Graham and Sean Bean.
Yeah.
Right. And I was looking at it, and I thought, this is the most genuine prison thing that I've ever seen in my life, because...
Is it on Sundays?
Well, it's over now. It's over now.
My mum and dad were watching it. They said it's brilliant.
It's written by Jimmy McGovern. Now, I've done a bit of Bird, through my time sort of thing, and I've always watched these prison dramas and thinking, apart from Starred Up, that film, Starred Up?
No.
Another one, but this was so genuine, and I just thought an answer to your question. I don't think America could go near it. That sort of.
Oh, that sort of,
you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think that what I'm saying is taking a chance on someone like me, as in, you know, a female boxing promoter that speaks their mind. I think that I've been on programs before where, you know, in production, they're very much, they like the idea, but they always they're kind of scared of the idea.
Scary.
Where the Americans are like, this girl's got a story. Let's, you know, let's create it. That's what I meant. But I mean, come on, there. We do some. Look, there's some wicked series coming out, and I'll tell you what my favourite one was. And you talking about it when you said about how genuine it was, I thought the best one I loved, and I've watched it over and over again. It's called "It's a Sin."
Powerful.
Absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what I liked about it as well? They chose unknown people, really, right? And it was just for me. I've watched it 4 times now. And I think, you know, it got bought in Canada and it got bought in America.
But do you think America does that sort of thing? Because everything that I see from American productions, they're all Tom Cruise, and they're not really into using new actors and giving them
exactly. That is the one hang up I really have. And I think, like, I remember Halle Berry had a role just before lockdown, and I think she played a transgender or something like that. And she just said, like, I'm not being funny, but why don't you get a transgender to actually play this role? And she stood down. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah. And I thought, good luck to you. Stop milking these actors. I'm sorry, Jason Statham, but I'm sick to death, of seeing you trying to act American. You're trying to be like next Bruce Willis. And you sound Australian, right, to me. I'm sorry, right? I feel like apologising to Americans. Do you know what I mean? I'm sick to death of all these, you know, these recall actors, and there's so many actors out there. I mean, your son's a great actor. You know what I mean? There's so many good people out there that just need a crack of that whip, you know?
I mean, it does come all right in the end. I mean, just speaking about myself for 2 minutes, you know, I've had a film sort of going for about 7 years.
I know.
And I've had these people saying, oh, look, we've put this in, we've all messes, right? Everybody messes. Now, 7 years later, this script lands on the right desk, and now we're doing it, you know, but that's 7 years. But this is what I'm saying to you, you know, I really hope you carry on with this this script about your dad and your dad's life, because it's just really, but you just got to keep going and understand, like in your boxing world, really, there's so many messes. I think that's different in America. I think that side of it's different in America, because that's what they're about. Just they want scripts. Yeah. Country, there's this snobbery, you know. I don't know. You just got to sort of.
I think that it's. I'm sorry to say it, but I think that it's either you're in with a clique in this country, right? Again, you're in this. Everyone's got their own little cliques, or you're just making a film to just have. I can't explain it. I think there's some movies that have come out, and I think, how the hell did you get the budget for that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is going nowhere. I mean, that's all over the world, but I'm thinking, you know, and I think we need some really good British films. We're not. Are we ever at the Golden Globes? Are we ever a part of that? Have we ever been a part? I mean, I'm not saying that we have or we haven't. I'm asking, have we been a part of that?
No, I mean, there's probably some sort of middle class Downton Abbey sort of thing that's been part of it. But certainly not independent movies, you know, which some of, I mean, if you have a look at a film that we made in about 15 years ago called The Business, you know, and I mean, what a powerful movie. And 15 years later, people were still like, yeah, the business. Well, it didn't even, I don't even think it got in it for a BAFTA, you know? I think it just went into...
I mean, that is a brilliant movie. That is a brilliant, I mean, and I'm not being funny. I've seen people like kind of redo the same thing. And it's just like, you will never be able to redo it because it's not just the script, it's the actors. You know what I mean? You nailed it. Or every single one of you was that you really got into each and every individual. You know, I think it's sometimes a class of some Brits just what make movies, they're poor acting. And it's just like, but that movie, The Business, is iconic.
Yeah. And do you think, like, I'm talking about your stuff because you move in a digital world. I don't move in a digital world at all. I mean, I'm getting used to being in a digital world now, but it's like you've sent me things on Instagram and I'm thinking, what do I do with this? I'm looking at it, going like, I really want to share it and I really want to do something with it, but I haven't got a clue what to do with it, sort of thing. It's just I'm eating things and just and it ain't going nowhere. So I'll just go out. I'll just put a picture up of me and Jeff doing something. But I will learn to do it. But I think it's making it easier now because I've been talking to someone. I mean, talking to these people about this production that we're doing, sort of thing, and then sort of listening to how they're speaking. Listen, you must go through the same with marketing your boxing. You know, there's physical marketing, and there's digital marketing. You know, and I said to these people, you know, marketing budgets. Why do people spend that much money on marketing budgets to put like posters on buses and posters on this and that, when all they've got to do is find, well, I'm giving it away now, is find, you know, 5 or 6 really big hitters on Twitter or whatever, give them $1,000 each and say, tweet that out for me twice a day for a week. You're not going to get any bigger marketing for that, you know.
The Americans do that. It's like Americans, when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather, he was sponsored by Corona, and in his contract he had to tweet and talk about Corona 3 times a week, right, for X amount of money, and mention Corona or at Corona. That's the whole thing. So yeah, no, totally. Like, I mean, that billboard things, all they are, I'll tell you what they are, they're a reminder. You know what I mean? When you're standing there, it's a reminder. Oh yeah, I've got a, oh yeah, Rise of the Foot Soldier. Hypothetically speaking. Oh yeah, that's that soon. That's all it is.
But
do you know
why
what I mean?
do people do that? I mean, why do people sort of sending trailers out sort of 3 or 4 months before the film's coming out, sort of thing? When anyway, look, it's something that's inside my nut, really, more than anything. Just I'm here to talk about.
I generally think it's about a budget. It's about they get given a budget and it goes right. We've spent that X amount. Oh, we've got enough to do buses. Yeah, we've got enough to do buses. That's what I think. It's not like a big, you know, thing. I just think it's part of a budget.
That's what I was leading to, sort of thing. The thing that I was leading to was because it is a real digital sort of environment now. I mean, we don't have to fall on our knees no more to ask people to make these films, you know, because we've got access to it all digitally anyway. Yes. Now, where years ago, even I can even remember the time when we were shooting films and it was still on film. And it was shooting on film, right? So you'd shoot the scene, you shoot the day's work, and then they'd put it in a tin. Yeah. I sound like fucking Charlie Chaplin, don't I?
You sound a bit like fucking Jurassic Park, but go on.
Yeah, I put it in a tin, send it away to London, get it processed, then send it, and this film was made in Spain, so it's got to go from Spain to a processing thing in London, and that's the first time that you can see the Russian sort of thing. Yeah. So I think it's quite easy now to make a movie. All you've got to do, I think, is just have that 100% focus.
Exactly.
Right? Like what you're doing now with this knife crime stuff, right? Unless you've got focus and unless you've got a belief in something like this, it's not going to go, is it?
No. And I believe that we can do something, and I believe that we can change it. We can change people's mindsets. You know what I mean? I said we might not be able to change the world, but by changing one kid, we're onto a good start. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I believe that, and I think that people need to talk about it a little bit more than they do. Look, because it's not trendy enough for you. Do you know what I mean? With your black activities.
But do the people in power really care about this, Nina?
They've been, look, let me tell you something. Sadiq Khan, I can't stand him, and I've never ever sat there on any of my social platforms and made out I'm buddies with him. I cannot stand him, right? He likes to brush on the subject of, I remember him talking about once my son's friend at school's friend got murdered. And I said, right, well, what are you doing about it? He's put no money. All he's bothered about is cycle fucking lanes, right? You know what I mean? And the environment. Right, okay, well, why don't you become a tree hugger and put a proper mayor in? I don't understand how he got in power again. I genuinely believe it was fucking fixed. I'm sorry, because, and the mad thing is, when these kids are dying, but do you know how many kids, like there's 22 deaths, I think, 22 deaths in London alone this year. Do you know that 22, so let's just say, do you know that 18 of them are under the age of 18? I did a funeral the other day. I helped my friend that worked at a funeral. This boy was murdered in Corby, but from South London, for protecting his girlfriend. He was 18 years old. A boy was murdered. He was 17 and he was disabled in Sydenham. He was disabled and he got butchered, and I mean murdered with a machete, right? You think that's cool? Are you know, not only have you...
But some people think it's cool, because I saw one of your posts on the social media where this young girl was talking about, you know, this is my man, and if he's got a date, I mean, you went absolutely bonkers with it. But how do they not understand, these kids? How do they themselves not understand? So if they don't understand, it's like this event you're doing, you know, I mean, all the motivational speakers that you've got. I mean, can you name the people that are coming now, just before I carry on, you know?
Well, I've got Freezy, Freezy McBones. He's like, he was a massive internet sensation, and he got Simon Frank Warren, but he's a massive campaigner for anti-knife crime campaign. I've got Archie Sharp, who's European champion, Kevin Mitchell, who was former world champion. I'm looking at this now. Spencer Furin is the knowledge, and he's part of managing boxers. He's the knowledge of boxing. Tunde Ajar, who's like manager of Anthony Yard. We've got John Harding Jr., another good pro. He's from the area and he understands about knife crime. He's from the streets. Do you know what I mean? He's made a name for himself. Craig Spider Richards, he's another good boy from the hood. Like, he understands as well, good fighter as well. And Laura Payne's my first ever female that I booked. She's coming to talk about her life and in boxing and how much it's changed her. And I've got a guy called James Springer, who's a former criminal, coming around, and he's now one of my boxing champions. He's talking. I think that what you just touched on was, you know, is it trendy to do this? And this is what makes me laugh, right? Every girl, I'll never forget, it was Jamie Foxx, right? Jamie Foxx said a quote, but I'll get that in a minute. Girls like being around hard men that can hold them, you know, the tough man, right? Let me tell you something. When a bully, keeps bullying, right? You know what your victims are going to do? Your victims are going to grow up. Your victims are going to start. So a bully gets bullied, right? You've got to work hard at being liked, right, in this world. Not be feared. I work hard at being liked, because when you're liked and loved, loyalty follows you no matter what, right? And that's a big thing to have in this world, loyalty, right? I don't understand why. I'm sorry, but you know we said about criminal stuff, yeah? I don't understand when someone commits a crime, murder or whatever, shall we say, when they go to prison, when they come out, they're treated like a fucking celebrity. I'm sorry, that's always baffled me. I'm not saying we should treat them in a negative way, but they are treated like a celebrity. I don't understand that. It's a big thing to go, yeah, I went to prison. My dad shied away from it. My dad was embarrassed by it, right? And he was a convicted drug dealer. He didn't serve drugs. The police planted the drugs on him. They lied in court, right? But it was not a big thing that you want to go, yeah, I went to jail. You've had the same situation, but you've never gone, look at me, I've had this, and I've been shocked at your life, babe. I did not know that you went through all that drama. I just think you're a fantastic person and you're a fantastic actor with it. You know, I can talk to you on a level about anything, but I don't understand why they glamorise this crime thing, right? That's the core of it, you know. And I would love to sit down, and all these people are talking about anti-knife crime, and they're going, I shot a man, I did this. Yeah, you're all helping, but why don't you tell the boys what it's like when you're in prison by yourself in a cell? It ain't no fucking glamour. That
makes them weak, Nina. They're not going to say that, really, are they? Because I don't care what anyone says, apart from a few sort of psychopaths that I've met in them places, sort of thing. You know, everyone at some point just goes, you know what I mean? You know, it's not a big man that doesn't cry in them places, you know what I mean? Especially if you're sort of sitting there facing. So is it because these people, the only thing that they can latch on, these young girls, you know, my boyfriend, like, you know, blood, and he's got like the knife and all that. I mean, I was just like transfixed by this kid.
I know.
Who was speaking. But is it because they ain't got nothing? And I think, because I used to do a lot of youth work with young kids back in Bermondsey, it's in my book, sort of thing. So you can read about what I was doing, sort of thing. I become like a born again Christian and all that.
Yeah.
And the thing that I recognised really was that a lot of kids were really, really scared and uncomfortable with aligning to their passions, their own passions. You know, like some kids probably sitting up in their bedroom are writing things, you know, but they're thinking to themselves, no one's going to take no notice of me, you know. And then they go out and they go and smash out a bit of gear, or they go and do whatever they've got to do, and then they come home and then they're writing again. So it's about these people that have, like your event, that have experienced, level-headed people that have experienced this way of life and are not afraid to say, look, the only person that's in control of your future and the only limits that we set are the limits, the only limits there are the limits that we set ourselves, you know. But they don't seem to. So I mean, I run into a fella at one point about 9 years ago, 10 years ago. I was in a band like you and all that, and I'd just come back from Israel. I've just been fitted up for murder. Anyway, and I walked into this theatre company, and I went up to this fella, a guy called Adrian Jackson, and said to him, this was in the middle of Bermondsey, I said, I want to be an actor. And this guy said, well, you've come to the right place, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it took us up to this like room where they was all acting and things like that. And I was on my way out to walk out, sort of thing. And he sort of pulled me back in. Now, if it wasn't for that person that acknowledged that passion inside me, or acknowledge something in me, God knows where I'd be, you know, God knows where I'd be. I'd be with half a dozen mates who are all now doing 25s and 20s and things like that. So it's about people like you, right, that are so needed in this world to let people know that there is support for their passions, you know.
I think that you know exactly what you're saying. It's like there are, as you said, there are people out there that are trying, like myself, to try and get you into something, yeah. But the only person that can take that first step is you. And don't let someone tell you, right, you cannot do anything. You're talking to a woman 12, 13 years ago that was, I mean, back in the days, well, we weren't so liberal now, you know, we're all talking about women's, you know, all the feminists talking about, you know, women's rights. Don't talk about women's rights. I've been part of the struggle, love. Right, we all shouting it now. But you know, back in the day, it wasn't a known thing. And everyone told me I couldn't do it. Everyone was telling me, like, literally, if they could have physically stamped on me, I think they would have done. But look at me now. As you said, you've got the series out, you know. I carried on going, and I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. I cool, right? And I hate this term, you don't understand where I come from. Don't use an excuse of where you come from. If you've got enough mobile data to go on the internet, right, and you've got a pen and paper, then you can do anything you want. The world is your oyster. But all the time you say you can't or you don't understand, then you're going to literally put a mental block on getting forward into walking into what you actually want to do.
Bravo.
Do you know?
Bravo. That's absolutely bang on. Right. Now we're coming to the end of this, right? Because I don't want to have hours and hours and hours of this.
I've missed your face.
I know, but the thing is, when you edit it, it's just...
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I haven't missed the face.
And it's and you just go on and on and on. I mean, the first one I did of these the other week with Gary Shell, it went on for an hour and 47 minutes. You know what I mean? So now I've also got to look at it all and think but I think the things that we've dealt with and the things that you've said here, you probably don't remember half of the things you've just said in this interview anyway, because that's how the good ones sort of are shown, really. So to end this, can you give every bit of detail that you want to give about your event on the 24th?
Yep, it's the 24th of July. It's only a small little like bowls green. We're raising money. It's £5 to get in, £2 for kids, £5 for adults. Yourself's going to be there. Tama's going to be there. I'm hoping to see a few more celebrities who will jump on the bandwagon. I've got an EastEnders star, Harry, Reid, he's coming. There's loads of people coming. We've got little stalls. Obviously, I'm trying to support local business as well because they've been on lockdown. So we've got little stalls that are going, and they're donating a percentage of what they earn to the training. It's going to be a fun day, right? We need to come together and rejoice, in the fact that we're here. But also, let's just try and help the youth by getting them into something proactive. So 24th of July, we're having a fun day. We've got singers, music playing. It's going to be blinding, right? And it's, 24th of July, Sydenham. It's at the Livesey Halls in 225 Perry Hill. Starts at 2 o'clock. And I want to thank all the celebrities that have come and they've got their T-shirts, wearing them proudly, right? Yeah.
Not that I'm a celebrity, but...
Yeah. Unorthodox boxing promo is on Instagram for all the details. But I think, not being funny, the woke celebrities that are sitting there, I think you need to go back to sleep and wake up and look out your window and look what's going on outside rather than over the other side of the shores. No disrespect, your life choice is your life choice. But we need more people like Eddie and the other boys that are on it to actually give a crap what's going on in our country as well. So, let's try and... Cool.
So... all I can say now, the only thing left to say about everything, because I don't think I can add to nothing, is, Nina, you have been weathered. Yay!